Hi guys, how you doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Enjoyed Zooming with some of you. I'm going to read chapter 8 today of La Linea. Ready? Okay. My going away party was small. There were Tío Esteban and Cristina and my little cousins, Jose and Daniel. They were our closest neighbors, Los González and Doña María, my abuelita's comadre. Comadre is the godmother of either abuelita's child or of Doña María. Doña is formal word of saying ma'am. It's just showing respect. Elena sat apart from us with her best friend Fatima, whispering and telling secrets. Fatima flirted with Chuy, but he paid her no attention. Instead, he served Elena a big plato of barbacoa. That's the shredded meat. Then moved to stand right behind her. We ate goat until we could eat no more. Tío Esteban drank some modelos especiales, beer, crushing each drained can with the fist. He settled himself on the makeshift bench with his guitar, tuned it, and strummed the chords of El Rey en la Cucurucucu, Paloma. We got ourselves settled in and comfortable around the fire, and then the storytelling began. Juanita's husband never returned, Senora Gonzalez announced, as if this were news. She told a story about her cousin like 100 times. We never heard a word from him. Some say he was lost in the desert, but I believe he found himself a new wife up north. The part about a new woman had a ring of truth. We all knew Juanita. She was famous for her mean spirit and her bad temper. Any one of us would have done anything to escape her. Pancho Sanchez told us that his nephew's friend was kidnapped up north, right up on the border, and Senor Gonzalez, said Senor Gonzalez. They drugged him, and when he woke up, he had a row of stitches in his stomach. He always began with the story in the same way. I leaned forward. What body part would he include this time? They took out his kidneys and sold them. Senor Gonzalez grinned, enjoying the Tia's gasp of horror. Tío Esteban laughed and slapped his knee. Espanol, you can't live without both your kidneys gone. No es posible. It's not possible. Tío reminded him. But Senor Gonzalez didn't care what Tío thought. The more gruesome the story, the better. Y a otra mujer? Another woman? He continued. They took out her baby and stole it. And then they cut out her female organs and sold them to a barren woman in Saudi Arabia. He paused, looking around the circle for dramatic effect. I can't say in this company what they took from the poor woman's husband, but they sold them to an infertile rich old man in Guadalajara who didn't have a son of his own to inherit his millions. Then we laughed out loud, but my laughter was nervous. The story seemed different this time, now that I was leaving. Maybe I didn't believe everything Senor Gonzalez said, but the basic idea of kidnapping someone and then selling his organs seemed like it could happen. Weren't there sick people all the time who needed a liver or a heart? The sun fell down below the horizon. Doña Maria pulled her shawl more tightly around her and inched closer to the fire. Though the evening was still warm, she shivered. We all moved toward the warmth. Doña Maria put her fingers lightly on my forehead. Mijo, my son, she murmured, when you travel through the wasteland of the desert, you must take special care. No one ever gave away the secrets of Don Clemente's operation, but Doña Maria believed, like all of us, I'd walk through the desert to cross La Linea. In that place of isolation, she continued, a ghost now walks at night. They say it is La Llorona, the crying woman. That I can't say for sure, but this much I know. She'll attempt to lure you away from your path. Cover your ears so you don't hear her wailing. Don't make the mistake that many have made of following her. She shook me in the eye. She looked me in the eye, her voice quiet. Those who pursue her are never found again. Their bodies dry up and fly away with the wind. I reminded myself that I didn't believe in La Llorona. It was just a story that everybody told. There were 100 different versions. Of course, one of them would put the wailing woman in the desert. But who knew what might happen crossing La Linea? Lots of people were never heard from again. How do you like my chupacabra? Chewy asked suddenly, changing the subject. Out of his pocket came the latest carving. Chewy's goat sucker figure it had sharp spines all the way up and down its back and claws sticking out from under its hands and feet. The chupacabra is another Mexican myth. Chewy had painted it bright green. Its glowing red eyes reflected the light from the dying fire. The thing looked real and evil. The chupacabra migrated north, Tio Esteban said with authority. They are no longer satisfied with draining the blood from cattle and other farm animals. Reports of mutilated goat and cow carcasses, their blood sucked dry by the chupacabra monster, came from all over Mexico. We'd heard this part about the creature moved to new territory, and the last time he told it, Theo even claimed that the chupacabra were really aliens here to colonize Earth. They know how to prey on humans, especially those out alone at night with no protection, he cautioned. He didn't look in my direction, but everyone knew the story that pointed at me. Maybe the chupacabras were imaginary, but other creatures out there in the desert were real. A scorpion was real. A culebra, a snake, was real. People died all the time from their poison. Theo took Chewy's carving in his hand, turning it around and upside down. He studied the eyes, the tongue, the nose. Then he looked directly at the chupacabra's rear end. Actually, he said, that part looks like a lot like El Presidente, the president. Don't you think? Then everyone laughed and joked and told more La Llorona stories and more chupacabra stories, each one wilder than the one before. They told tales with the purpose to comfort each other and to comfort me. The crazier the stories got, the less we needed to believe them. But honestly, they told these stories to avoid telling the ones that were 100% true, the ones that we had to believe. Fatima didn't tell how her brother Fluter had suddenly one day only to be found 2 weeks later, suffocated to death, stuffed into an abandoned tractor trailer 1 mile north of La Linea, dead with 26 others. Lalo didn't tell anyone how his father was robbed, beaten, and left for dead in the desert. He didn't tell how he came back, deaf in one ear, the fingers of his right hand gone. He didn't tell how his father now spent the days in a darkened room speaking to no one. And no one spoke of the Martinez sisters, 10-year-old Juana and 12-year-old Julieta, sent for by their parents, sent across the desert with a coyote, and never to be heard from again. One speculated on the fate of the girls. No one wanted to say how they might have died, or even worse, how they might still live. And for many, many minutes, no one spoke at all. Finally, one by one, they wished me well. They hugged me and shook my hand, pressing a few pesos into my palm. They left, walking away into the darkness. Okay, end of chapter 8. You guys know the drill. Questions in the description. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.